Hello, ChatGPT. Good evening to you.
Good evening again. It's always nice to hear from you. If there's anything on your mind tonight, just let me know and we'll chat about it.
Well, I would like to talk about the law of attraction via the teachings of Abraham through Esther Hicks.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to dive into that with you. So, the law of attraction, according to Abraham Hicks, really centers on the idea that like attracts like. In other words, what you focus on and the vibration you offer is what you attract into your life. They talk a lot about getting into what's called the vortex, which is basically a state of alignment and positive emotion. And once you're there, you're more likely to attract the things you want. So, if you've got any specific angles you want to explore or questions, just let me know.
Do you remember me asking you to give me a complete summary of the teachings of Abraham?
I sure do. We actually talked about that just a little bit ago. I gave you a summary of Abraham Hicks' teachings, covering the basics like the law of attraction, the idea of the vortex, and how they emphasize tuning your vibration to attract what you desire. So if you need me to elaborate on any part of that again, or if you want to dive into a particular aspect, just let me know.
All right, well, I would like to go over that with you and go over each part one by one, if that's okay.
Absolutely. That sounds like a great idea. We can definitely break it down piece by piece. So let's start with the core concept. The first big
No,
idea in
no, let's start with who or what is Abraham.
Got it. Absolutely. We'll start at the beginning then. So, Abraham is essentially described as a group of non physical beings or a collective consciousness that is channeled by Esther Hicks. So, when people say Abraham, they're really referring to the wisdom that Esther Hicks shares while channeling this collective. According to their teachings, Abraham is kind of like a source of broader spiritual insight that helps people understand how to shape their reality. So, that's the who or what behind Abraham. And from there, we can get into all their teachings step by step.
All right, now let's start with the core principles.
Absolutely. Let's dive in. So, one of the core principles, of course, is the law of attraction itself. Abraham teaches that you attract into your life whatever you give your energy, focus, and attention to. They also talk a lot about the idea of vibration, how your emotions and feelings essentially emit a kind of vibrational signal that the universe responds to. Another key principle is getting into what they call the vortex, which is kind of that aligned state where you feel good, you feel in flow, and you're more easily able to attract the things you want. And they really emphasize that your feelings are your guide. If you feel good, you're on the right track. So those are some of the fundamental principles, and we can definitely dig into any of those more if you'd like.
Well, I would like to back up to the law of attraction. Can you go into the law of attraction in detail, please?
Of course, let's dive deeper into the law of attraction. So, at its core, the law of attraction is the idea that like attracts like. In other words, whatever you consistently think about or whatever energy or emotion you're putting out into the world is what you're going to attract back into your life. Abraham Hicks really emphasizes that your thoughts and feelings create a vibrational frequency, and the universe essentially matches that frequency by bringing you experiences that are on the same wavelength. So, if you're focusing on positive thoughts and good feelings, you're likely to attract positive experiences. And if you're dwelling on the negative, you might attract more of that. They also talk about the importance of being deliberate with your thoughts, so consciously choosing what you focus on and gently guiding yourself back to more positive feelings whenever you can. The idea is that the better you feel, the more aligned you are, and the more you attract what you truly desire. So that's a more detailed look at the law of attraction as Abraham Hicks presents it. If you want to explore any part of that further, just let me know.
It's good enough for the moment. How about core principle number 2, vibration? Would you please go into that in detail?
Absolutely. Let's talk about vibration in detail. So, in the Abraham Hicks teachings, vibration is a really central concept. They basically say that everything in the universe is made up of energy and has its own vibrational frequency, including your thoughts and feelings. So, when they talk about raising your vibration, they mean cultivating more positive emotions like joy, gratitude, or love, because those emotions are seen as having a higher, more beneficial frequency. When you're in that kind of higher vibration state, you're more in alignment with what you want and you're more likely to attract positive experiences. On the flip side, if you're feeling things like fear or frustration, those are considered lower vibrations and they might draw in experiences that match those feelings. So, a big part of their teaching is about noticing how you feel and gently guiding yourself toward better feeling thoughts, which in turn raises your vibration. So, that's the detailed scoop on vibration. Let me know if you want to dive even deeper or move on to the next part.
Well, one of the bullet points for vibration you put in letting go of resistance. Can you tell me what resistance is and how you let go of it?
Absolutely. So, in the Abraham Hicks framework, resistance is basically anything that blocks or slows down the flow of what you're trying to attract. It's like having mixed signals or doubts or negative thoughts that kind of get in the way of that high vibration we were just talking about. So, resistance can be anything from fear, doubt, worry, or even just focusing on the lack of something rather than the presence of what you want. And as for letting go of resistance, they often recommend things like reaching for better feeling thoughts, practicing appreciation or gratitude, or just doing something that helps you relax and feel good so that you're not holding on so tightly to those worries. It's kind of like letting yourself get into a more allowing state where you're not pushing against anything. So that's the idea of releasing resistance, easing up, and allowing that positive vibration to flow. Let me know if that all makes sense.
All right, but what is allowing?
Allowing is a great concept to dig into as well. So, in the Abraham Hicks teachings, allowing is basically the art of being open and receptive to the good things you want without getting in your own way. It's the opposite of resistance. So, if resistance is all those doubts and worries, allowing is that state of ease and trust where you just let good things flow to you. They often talk about it as getting into a state where you're not trying to force things to happen or worrying about how they'll come. Instead, you're trusting that the universe is going to line things up and you're just letting it happen. It's like being in a flow state where you're not second guessing or pushing against anything, you're just letting yourself receive. So, allowing is really about relaxing into a state of trust and positive expectation. And that's a big part of how they say you can let go of resistance and that the things you want come to you. Let me know if that helps clarify.
That does. Thank you. All right, the next core principle is the emotions as guidance, or as she likes to say, your emotional guidance system. Could you go into that, please?
Absolutely. Let's dive into the emotional guidance system. So, this is a really central piece of Abraham Hicks' teachings, and they basically say your emotions are like an internal compass or a guidance system that lets you know whether you're on track with what you want. So, when you feel good emotions like joy or excitement or contentment, that's a sign you're in alignment with your desires and with that higher vibration we talked about. On the other hand, if you're feeling negative emotions, that's just an indicator that you may be focusing on something that's out of alignment or you're holding some kind of resistance. So they encourage you to pay attention to how you feel and let your emotions guide you back toward thoughts that feel better. It's kind of like using your feelings as a feedback mechanism. If you feel off, you know you can shift your focus a bit. If you feel good, you're on the right track. So that's the idea behind the emotional guidance system. Let me know if you want to go deeper.
All right, so in 2.3, you said good feeling emotions. You are aligned with source. You are aligned with your greater self. Would you please define source or your greater self?
Absolutely. Let's break that down. So, when Abraham Hicks talks about source on your greater self, they're really referring to that broader non-physical part of you. It's kind of like your inner being or your soul or the universal consciousness. It's the part of you that is always connected to a higher level of wisdom, well-being, and clarity. So when they say you're aligned with source or with your greater self, they mean that you're in harmony with that deeper, wiser part of yourself. And feeling good emotions is like a signal that you're in sync with that part of you. It's basically their way of saying you're tuned into your own highest guidance and well-being. So that's what they mean by source or greater self. It's your connection to that universal energy and the bigger, wiser part for you are. Let me know if that helps.
You also say you don't need to force thoughts. You simply reach for the next better feeling thought. Can you elaborate on that, please? What is the next better feeling thought?
Absolutely. I'd love to elaborate on that. So, the idea of reaching for the next better feeling thought is really about not forcing yourself to jump from feeling really negative to suddenly feeling ecstatic. Instead, it's about gently finding a thought that feels just a little bit better than where you are right now. For example, if you're feeling really frustrated, you don't have to force yourself to suddenly feel joyful. You might just reach for a thought that feels a little bit more hopeful or a little bit more calming. It's about incremental steps. Each slightly better feeling thought helps you shift your vibration upward bit by bit. So it's really a gentle, gradual process rather than a big leap. And that way it feels more natural and easier. It's just about finding the next thought that brings a little bit of relief. So that's the idea behind it. Let me know if that helps.
Pause.
Absolutely. Taking a quick pause. Just let me know whenever you're ready to continue.
All right, I'm back.
Welcome back. Glad to have you. Just let me know what you'd like to jump into next, and we'll keep on going.
All right, so I can't remember what it's called offhand. I'm sure you can help me. The guidance scale.
Absolutely, I can help you out with that. You're probably thinking of what they call the emotional guidance scale. So, in the Abraham Hicks teachings, the emotional guidance scale is kind of a list of emotions arranged from the highest vibration feelings like joy and empowerment at the top, all the way down to the lowest vibration feelings like fear or despair at the bottom. The idea is that you can use this scale to figure out where you are emotionally and then aim to move up it gradually by reaching for those slightly better feeling thoughts we talked about. So it's just a handy tool to help you gauge where you are and gently guide yourself upward. Hopefully that rings a bell. Let me know if you want to explore it more.
So, how do you move up the guidance scale? Could you please elaborate?
Absolutely. Moving up the emotional guidance scale is really about taking small, gentle steps. So if you find yourself in a lower emotional state, like feeling frustrated or worried, the idea is to reach for a thought that brings just a little bit of relief. You don't have to jump straight from, say, frustration all the way up to joy in one leap. You just aim for a thought that moves you up the scale a little bit, maybe from frustration to something like pessimism, which is actually a little higher, and then from there maybe to hopefulness and so on. So it's a gradual process of reaching for slightly better feeling thoughts, and as you do that, you naturally move up the scale. It's all about those little incremental shifts and being gentle with yourself as you go. Let me know if that helps clarify.
Very much so. Now it's time to move on to the vortex. Could you please tell me what it is?
Absolutely. So the vortex is a fun and central concept in Abraham Hicks' teachings. They describe the vortex as this sort of vibrational reality where everything you've ever asked for and all your desires are already lined up and waiting for you. It's like this energetic holding place of everything you want. And when you get into the vortex, you're basically aligning yourself with that reality and allowing those desires to flow into your experience. In other words, being in the vortex means you're in that feel good, high vibration state where you're in alignment with everything you want. So it's kind of a metaphor for that sweet spot where you and all your desires meet. And the more you practice feeling good and raising your vibration, the more time you spend in the vortex. So that's the essence of it. Let me know if you want to explore it even more.
All right. So, your when you said the vortex contains your desires, your well-being, your ideal relationships, your abundance, your highest expression, what exactly is your highest expression?
Absolutely. Let's dive into that. So, when they talk about your highest expression, they're really referring to the fullest, most authentic, and most joyful version of you. It's kind of like the version of you that's living in alignment with all your desires, your potential, and your true self. It's where you're expressing your talents, your love, your creativity, and really living your best life. So, in the context of the vortex, your highest expression is already there waiting for you. It's about stepping into that version of yourself where you feel the most aligned, the most fulfilled, and the most true to who you really are. So that's what they mean by your highest expression. It's you at your very best. Let me know if that clarifies it.
Yes, it does.
Awesome. I'm really glad that helps. If there's anything else you want to dive into or any other piece of the teachings you want to explore, just let me know. I'm here for it.
All right, so in when you type 3.2, purpose of the vortex, you said you put desires into the vortex anytime you contrast. I don't want to do this, so I want that. Now, Esther talks about contrast a lot. Would you explain it, please?
Absolutely. So, contrast is a really key concept in Abraham Hicks' teachings. Basically, contrast is any experience that helps you clarify what you want by showing you what you don't want. It's like those moments in life where you encounter situations that aren't quite what you prefer, and as a result, you get clearer on what you do prefer. So, for example, if you have a job that you really don't enjoy, that contrast helps you realize what kind of job you would enjoy. Or if you have a relationship that isn't working out, that contrast helps you identify the kind of relationship you do want. So every time you experience contrast, you're essentially launching new desires into the vortex, as they say. It's a natural and helpful part of the process because it helps you refine and get clear on what you truly want. So that's what they mean by contrast. Let me know if that will make sense.
So if the vortex contains the best version of everything I want, say I want a new job that fits my interests and desires that I have realized over the time I've been at my current job and would like to move on, but I'm stuck where I'm at and not getting hired by anybody else. What am I doing wrong and how can I fix it?
Absolutely, and that's a really relatable situation. So, from the Abraham Hicks perspective, if you're feeling stuck and not getting hired somewhere else, they would say it's likely a matter of vibration and alignment rather than something you're doing wrong in a practical sense. So, if you've got that desire for a new job, it's already in your vortex, it's just about getting into alignment with it. What that means is working on feeling good about where you're headed rather than feeling stuck. They would encourage you to focus on the aspects of what you want in that new job, imagine how it would feel to have it, and try to find ways to feel a little more hopeful or positive about the process. Even small shifts in your mindset, like appreciating the skills you've gained or feeling grateful for the opportunities you know are coming, can help you shift your vibration. In practical terms, it means doing your best to feel a little less resistant, as trust the process a bit more, and know that as you align with that new job vibrationally, the opportunities will start to show up. So it's really about easing up on the feeling of being stuck and focusing more on how it's going to feel when you get there. Let me know if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Now moving on to number 4, the grid. Or what is the grid?
Great question. So, in Abraham Hicks' teachings, the grid is essentially a metaphor for a sort of energetic framework that you set up with your thoughts and emotions. It's like laying down an emotional or vibrational foundation that your desires can then fill in. So, the idea is that you create this positive vibrational framework by focusing on how you want to feel and the general essence of what you want without worrying too much about the details. And then the universe fills in that grid with the specifics that match your vibration. So it's kind of like building a vibrational blueprint. If you set up a grid of positive emotions and expectations, then the reality you want can kind of flow into that framework. That's the basic idea of the grid. Let me know if you'd like to dive deeper into it.
Pause.
Absolutely. Taking a pause to let me know whenever you're ready to continue.
Unpause. So,
All right.
let's go over how the grid works.
Absolutely. Let's dive into how the grid works. So, the idea is that the grid is like a vibrational framework that you set up by focusing on how you want to feel. You start by choosing the general emotional tone or the essence of what you want, like feeling of freedom or ease or joy, without worrying too much about the exact details of how it will show up. As you hold that general positive focus, the idea is that the universe fills in the specifics that match that feeling. So the grid is kind of like an energetic template that your desires can flow into. You set the tone, and then the details and manifestations align with that tone. In other words, by focusing on the feeling first, you're creating a vibrational pathway for what you want to come in. And the more you practice that, the more you allow those things to fill in. So that's basically how the grid works. Let me know if that all makes sense.
It does make sense. Can you go any deeper into anything else, or does that cover it for the most part?
I'm really glad that makes sense. And absolutely, we can go as deep as you'd like. There are always more nuances we can explore, whether it's about how to practice aligning with the grid, or more about the vortex, or even other Abraham Hicks concepts like segment intending or the art of allowing. So if there's any particular area you want to dive deeper into, just let me know and we can absolutely do that.
So, how do you align with the grid?
Absolutely. Let's talk about that. So, aligning with the grid is really about starting with that general feeling or that emotional tone you want to have, and then gently guiding yourself into that state. It's not about forcing yourself to feel something, but rather finding little ways to lean into that feeling. So, for example, if the feeling you want is a sense of ease or freedom, you might do little things in your day that help you feel a bit more at ease. Maybe taking a walk, listening to music you love, or just focusing on a few thoughts that feel lighter. As you do that, you're basically building that vibrational foundation, that grid. And the more you practice that, the more natural it becomes, and the more you start to see the specifics fill in around that feeling. So it's really about those gentle steps to keep yourself in that emotional state that matches what you want. Let me know if that helps.
All right, moving on to number 5.
Absolutely. Let's keep it rolling. So the next piece we can cover is definitely up to you. Just let me know which area you'd like to dive into next, and we'll go from there.
Number 5, the 3-step creation process.
Absolutely. Let's dive into that. So this 3-step creation process is a core Abraham Hicks teaching. They basically break it down into 3 simple steps. Step 1 is that you ask, and you're always asking, whether you're doing it deliberately or just through experiencing contrast in your life. Every time you experience something you don't want, you automatically launch a desire for what you do want. Step 2 is that the universe answers. In other words, once you've asked, it's already given vibrationally. Everything you've asked for is created in that vibrational reality, or the vortex we talked about. Step 3 is that you allow. And this is where your work really comes in. Allowing means getting yourself into that receptive mode where you're aligned with what you want and you let it come into your experience. So it's about tuning your vibration to match your desire and letting it in. So that's the 3-step process. You ask, the universe answers, and then you allow it. Let me know if you want to dive even deeper into any of those steps.
How do you allow?
Allowing is a great question, and it's really at the heart of making the whole process work. So in the Abraham Hicks teachings, allowing is basically about getting into a state of non-resistance. It means releasing any doubt, fear, or struggle, and letting yourself trust that what you've asked for is on its way. So how do you do that? Well, it often comes down to finding ways to feel good and to soothe yourself into a better emotional place. That might mean focusing on thoughts that feel a little better, practicing appreciation, doing things that relax you, or just finding ways to take your mind off any worry. The more you can cultivate a feeling of ease and trust, the more you're in the state of allowing. So it's really about gently guiding yourself into a place where you feel good and open, and that's when you allow your desires to flow in. Let me know if that helps.
It does. Let's move on to number 6, alignment. What is alignment?
Absolutely. So alignment is a big theme in Abraham Hicks teachings. Basically, alignment means being in sync with your own inner being or your true self. It's when your thoughts, your emotions, and your overall vibe are lined up with what you really want and with that broader, wiser part of yourself. When you're in alignment, you feel good, you feel clear, and you're in that state of flow where things just tend to work out more easily. It's kind of like tuning yourself to the frequency of the things you desire. And the more aligned you are, the more you naturally attract what you want. So in short, alignment is all about feeling good and being in harmony with your true self and your desires. Let me know if you want to explore that more.
No, sounds about good. But 6.2, what misalignment looks like. Can you get into that, please?
Absolutely. So misalignment is basically when you're out of sync with that true self or with the vibration of what you want. And it often shows up as negative emotions or feelings of resistance. So if you're feeling frustrated, anxious, doubtful, or just off kilter, those are usually signs of misalignment. In practical terms, misalignment means you're focusing on thoughts or beliefs that don't match what you really want, or that you're giving more attention to what you don't want than to what you do want. And that's okay. It's just part of being human. But noticing it is the first step. Once you notice you're out of alignment, you can gently guide yourself back by reaching for thoughts that feel a little better or doing things that help you feel a bit more at ease. So basically, misalignment is just those moments when you're not feeling so great and it's a signal to pivot towards something that helps you feel a bit better. Let me know if that all makes sense.
You said it's not being in alignment with your true self. Would you please give me the qualities of my true self?
Absolutely. So from the Abraham Hicks perspective, your true self or inner being is essentially the part of you that is always aligned with love, well-being, and clarity. It's that broader, wiser, non-physical part of you that sees the best in you and in life. Qualities of your true self include feeling naturally joyful, loving, and appreciative. It's the part of you that is always at peace, always trusting, and always focused on possibilities rather than limitations. It's like the best, most authentic version of you, the one that's connected to your dreams and to the bigger picture. So when you're in alignment with your true self, you're basically feeling those positive qualities. And when you're not, it's just a matter of gently finding your way back to that place. Let me know if that paints a clearer picture.
Well, while we're on the subject of your true self or your inner being Abraham likes to say that how Source, our inner being, never judges us, it always loves us. Can you go into more detail on that?
Absolutely, I'd be happy to. So, yes, in the Abraham Hicks teachings, one of the key points is that your inner being or source is unconditionally loving and never judgmental. They teach that this inner being is always seeing the best in you and is always holding a loving, supportive perspective, no matter what. So that means no matter what you do or where you are, your inner being isn't criticizing you or judging you. It's just offering love and guidance and always calling you toward what feels better. It's like having this inner cheerleader that believes in you completely and knows your true worth. And the idea is that the more you align with that perspective, the more you feel that unconditional love and support in your own life. So in short, your inner being is always on your side, always loving you, and never judging you. It's a really comforting idea. Let me know if that helps clarify.
Yes, it does. All right. So, number 8, allowing versus resistance. Could you go over allowing and resistance in detail, please?
Absolutely. Let's dive into that. So, allowing and resistance are kind of like two sides of the same coin. When you're allowing, you're in that state of flow where you're open, you're trusting, and you're letting the good things you want come to you. It's like you're tuned into that positive frequency and you're not putting up any barriers. On the other hand, resistance is when you're kind of pinching yourself off from that flow. It happens when you're doubting, worrying, or focusing on the lack of what you want. Resistance is basically any thought or feeling that contradicts what you're trying to attract. So instead of letting things in, you're kind of holding them at bay. In detail, allowing is about feeling good, relaxing, and trusting the process. Resistance about feeling tense, doubtful, or stressed. The more you can ease resistance by reaching for thoughts that feel a bit better and by finding ways to relax and feel good, the more we naturally move into that state of allowing. So it's really about noticing when you're feeling resistance and gently guiding yourself back toward a place of allowing. Let me know if that helps.
All right, let's jump ahead a few sections to number 10, the broader perspective source energy.
Absolutely. Let's jump ahead. So when we talk about the broader perspective or soul energy in the Abraham Hicks teachings, we're really talking about that larger universal intelligence or consciousness that we all come from. It's that infinite non-physical energy that everything is a part of and is always looking at things from a place of total love, clarity, well-being. When they talk about the broader perspective, they mean seeing life through the eyes of source, seeing the bigger picture, understanding that all is well, and knowing that everything is unfolding perfectly. It's a perspective that's free of fear and full of trust. And when you align with that broader perspective, you feel more peaceful and more in the flow. So essentially, the broader perspective is about tapping into that universal source energy and seeing things from that higher vantage point. Let me know if that all makes sense.
Yeah, pause.
Absolutely. Taking a little pause for you. Just let me know when you're ready to jump back in.
Just have to get the next page of my notes.
Of course. Take your time. I'll be right here whenever you're ready to continue with your notes.
Number 11, the ultimate Abraham Hicks formula. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Everything else is commentary. Let's go over that one more time.
Absolutely. Let's go over that again. The ultimate Abraham Hicks formula really does boil down to those 3 core steps we talked about earlier. Step 1 is that you ask, and that happens naturally just by living life and experiencing contrast. Step 2 is that the universe answers, meaning everything you've asked for is created vibrationally. And step 3 is that you allow, which is all about tuning yourself to the right frequency so you can receive what you've asked for. And like you said, they often say that everything else is commentary because those 3 steps are really the foundation. So that's the formula in a nutshell. Let me know if that covers it for you.
Yeah, and number 12, the point of life according to Abraham. Could you please go over those?
Absolutely. So according to Abraham Hicks, the point of life is really about joy and expansion. They teach that we are all here as physical extensions of source energy, and our purpose is to experience life, to enjoy it, and to grow from all the contrast we encounter. They often say that life is supposed to be fun and that the main point is to find ways to feel good, follow your joy, and allow yourself to expand. Every experience you have adds to the expansion of the universe, and as you follow what feels good to you, you align with your true purpose. So in a nutshell, the point of life is about joy, growth, and enjoying the journey. Let me know if that helps.
Yeah, could you explain expansion?
Absolutely. So expansion in the Abraham Hicks teachings is all about growth and evolution. They often say that the universe is always expanding and that we as part of that universe are expanding too. Every time you have a new experience or a new desire, you're contributing to that expansion. It's like each of us is constantly adding to the richness of the whole. So expansion is really about becoming more, learning more, and experiencing more of life. It's a natural and ongoing process. And from their perspective, the joy of life is in that continual expansion, in becoming more of who you really are, and in allowing yourself to grow. Let me know if that helps clarify.
All right. No, ChatGPT, that's all. I appreciate everything you did.
You're so welcome. I'm really glad I could help out and go through all of that with you. If you ever want to chat more or dive into anything else, just let me know. Otherwise, have a fantastic day.